So is the team for 749, 759 Dudley here?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right, great.
Uh,
So I am assuming that you have also a slide deck that you want to share.
Right.
So I want to make sure that you have access to share the screen.
Yeah, I would like to share when the time is appropriate. Yes, please.
So I guess I should start, if that's okay with everybody.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you for having us here. My name is Mark Salzberg, along with my brother who is on this call.
My camera is broken.
His camera is broken.
Oops.
We're the co-developers of the property, that are the development that we're talking about. I have with me Mitch Fishman of MFL Consulting, and Doug Stefanov, the architect for the project. I'll give you a quick history of who we are, and maybe some of you know who my brother and myself are. We've been in this community in Upham's Corner specifically for close to 50 years, if not a little bit over 50 years. Been in the Roxbury Dorchester community as a family for over 70 years. I can't count myself in that because I'm not 70 yet. But my father started a business in Roxbury in the 50s. We entered the Upham's Corner area in the early 80s, if I'm correct, Stuart. Is that right?
No, it was in the 70s. It's when he opened up the store. In 1973 is when he opened up the first store.
Right. So that's
745.
745 Dudley Street, which I still occupy, we still own, and I have a retail store in there called Metro School Uniforms. We're the leading, there we are the leading supplier of school uniforms to the, definitely in the Boston area, but it's statewide, and we're also a national company as well. We bought the subject property in the early 90s, if I'm correct.
1994.
Yeah, and it was at that time it was a burnt out shell, except for the warehouse that's behind, that's on Virginia Street. So the property runs from, let me correct the address slightly because the city changed the address on us from 750. It runs from 751 to 757 Dudley. Same building. Just when we submitted some plans, Doug, they changed the numbers on us, correct? And then and it's contiguous to 2 Virginia Street, which is a cinder block warehouse behind it. The cinder block warehouse has always been the same, but the Dudley Street property was a burnt out shell, which we bought as is, rebuilt the property on our, on our own as development, our own funding. We were an occupant there for many years, and we've had 2 tenants since. We had Family Dollar there for 10 years, and now we have the Rainbow stores for 10 plus years. And that's the property we're looking to develop. My brother and I have always been active in the community. We had retail stores, and still when we have the one retail store, we've always hired from the community. I would say 98% of our employees could walk to work if they decide to.
When we were open at the 2 Dudley Street locations, we worked with the Bird Street gym and provided internships to members there. In addition, we had sheltered workshops with Morgan Memorial and Goodwill Services on site, both at Rosendale and in Rosendale and Dorchester.
And the reason we give you the history, just want, we're not some outside developers coming in and just, look, taking advantage of the area. We've been here, invested here, and been good citizens. So I think at this time I would hand this over to I think Doug. Doug has the slideshow, and he can share the screen, walk you through the project, and then of course we would take any questions. Doug would take any questions about the project itself.
At the end. So first of all, thank you all for your time. I'm Doug Stefanov, architect on the project. First, before I ask to share my screen, Mitch, did you want to say anything on community process or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Mitch Fishman. I'm the permitting consultant. And as some of you know about the city process for the BPDA, projects that are under 50,000 square feet have to go through what's called a small project review. And we started working on that project, I guess, almost a year ago. And we got to a point on November 30th last year when we submitted a small project application. And since that time, we had a public hearing, and the development team has been making presentations to both the abutters and to other groups and individuals in the area. So we're at a point now where we've gone through the BPDA review, we've gone through design review, we've changed the project, we've modified and enhanced the design, and we're at a point now where the BPDA is in final consideration of the project. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. If I can share my screen, thanks, I got it. All right, is that visible to everyone? Okay, first of all, thank you again for your time. I'll zip through this and I'll take questions and answers at the end. Here's a little perspective of the building. It's on the corner of Dudley and Virginia Street, currently the Rainbow clothing store. It's a 6-story structure, commercial on the first floor, parking on the mid-level in the back off Virginia, and 5 stories of residential units above. Hold on, let's see here. There we go. Just a quick little map just to show the site. It's a relatively square site, 2 parcels put together, owned by the Salzburgs. And the Virginia Street, as you know, has a grade change. It slopes up to the back. Dudley, relatively flat, plus or minus a couple inches from side to side. It abuts a current 2-story masonry structure, which is a church. Just a little context, I'm sure you're all aware. The picture at the top is the subject property on the right, the Rainbow clothing store, with the 2-story structure on the left. A little bit of a context plan there in the middle, and then a side view of Virginia Street of the buildings as they step up the grade. The parking lot at the back belongs to the adjacent property. So our property line ends at the right side of the 2-story block structure. Some views across the street. It's a busy commercial street, and we propose to provide additional or continued commercial presence on the street with the space at ground level accessed from Dudley Street. You may note on the upper left corner, there's a new building gone up recently in the last few years, which is also a 6-story residential structure with very little, smaller commercial spaces on the first floor. Just a quick view of some other larger buildings in the neighborhood. You may be familiar with the Monadnock residential building, the new building across the street, the corner of Wendover, and of course the buildings that flank the entrance to Dudley off Columbia. Here are some perspectives of the building from different views. We're proposing a brick base with let's say a pattern that matches some of the other commercial existing older buildings on the street. The main portion or body of the building above, we have 2 light colors of a terracotta or tile finish for the residential, and the top would be a metal bronze standing seam as kind of like the mansard. There's a roof area, which I'll show you in a minute. Virginia Street is pretty much, it's the same finish on the sides. The back faces south, and we thought we'd provide some residential balconies for the units to take advantage of the neighborhood and the views and the sun. This project has transportation options. So you're aware of the Upham's Corner MBTA commuter rail, of course, bus lines 15 and 41, and Blue Bike Station down, I can't remember the street right now, around the corner, to which we would be contributing money for improvements. And I'll show you that momentarily. There's a number of community improvements, one of which is those. We're proposing to widen the current Blue Bike station to Ramsey Street. On Ramsey Street to provide year-round presence of the Blue Bike station, which currently gets pulled off in the winter due to its lack of width and to allow for snow removal. So this is part of the proposed mitigation to the neighborhood. We have a landscape plan. We'd be planting trees around the building, as well as there are trees to maintain. The darker trees are new. We've modified this with community review to allow for continued vehicle parking on Virginia coming down the street. We have a curb cut on Virginia. We have a garage inside the building for parking within. So that is I know it's a one-way coming down the street. So we have a small 10-foot curb cut. And then at a lower elevation is the retail space. And we have a bike room, which I'll show you in detail in a moment. Oh, and just going back, we do have a concrete sidewalk that's surrounded by permeable pavers. So we're complying with the city's ordinances on accessibility to provide a smooth surface onto which to transverse the sidewalk. And the pavers that are actually on our property would be permeable to allow for water to seep through. And that's true for the band, which would be the tree band, both on Virginia and Dudley, would be a laid paver. That just shows a section of the tree and the structural soils to support the tree in scale. We're proposing a roof deck as an amenity for the tenants. This is placed in the center of the roof. It's relatively invisible to the street. It'll just provide some outside space and open space for the tenants, which is required. We're actually greater than required. That's just a gross. I can come back to that. We are proposing affordable units. So this shows both the affordable and a number of handicap accessible units that would be built. This is a rental building. So 5% of the, there are 2 units that would be fit out as handicap accessible units, one being affordable and one being market rate. And this, I don't know if you can, we'll get to sizes, but the sizes of the units are fairly generous and good sized. Ground floor, commercial bike room, entrance to the 2 elevators at the core, and just some details of the bike storage as per city ordinances, and our parking area accessible from Virginia above. And that actually, this is the intermediate level. It's about a 5-6 foot grade change between Dudley and the back of the building. So this is drive-in, it's just one level, and there are accessible spaces within the parking trash area inside the building that would be managed by a company putting the barrels out on a bi-weekly or whatever frequency we determine is necessary. Residential units wrap the perimeter of the building with, of course, windows, and the core being the stairs and the elevators. Second floor has a number of 3-bedroom units, studios and a 1, and the upper floors are a mix of 2-bedroom and studio units. And these just repeat, although there are different affordable units on each floor shown here in the rose color. And we'll go up to the roof. That shows the roof deck with the open space. Just a little bit of detail on the finishes. So the standing seam metal roof at the top, above the cornice line, a terracotta tile body of the building, and then the base being a combination of precast elements and brick to match that of the streetscape. And that's the back of the building and the side. So I'll leave that open and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So we're gonna open it up for questions. People can just raise their hand or do the little electronic hand. I have a number of questions just from, perhaps not understanding some of the pieces that you shared. So in terms of green space, right? What specific, is it the rooftop thing, the terrace?
It's combination.
Or
Yeah, sure. We go back to that. Green space is a combination of trees, which we provide on the sidewalk. So street trees is part of the Complete Streets program. And then we have the roof, whoops, sorry, I'm right, which has some landscaping, mostly planters, and that's open space for the residents.
Mhm.
I mean, there's sidewalks on the building, right? So
Yeah.
around the building, there's little space. We tried to provide as much as we could. They wanted access for cars to, we had more shrubbery on Virginia, but we took it off as to the neighbor's request, provide more access to vehicles that park there, so it wouldn't get in their way.
Okay. So you mentioned, like what's accessible to residents, and I'm trying to understand, you mentioned how the blue bikes would be coming in. Would they permanently be there or just over the winter in
No,
that?
no, the program would be permanent. So the
Mhm.
improvements would allow for a wider sidewalk. And
Okay.
therefore the blue bikes could stay there year round.
Okay, and so will they be visible to the public so that they know that they can actually access them, or is it?
Yes, I trust that's the case. They're right there on the street. They're there now,
Yeah.
but in season. So, I mean, it's right off Dudley.
Mhm.
It's on Ramsey, but it's, as you can see, it's right on the intersection. So
Yeah.
the intent is to improve that. So yes, they're there year round.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
okay,
is-
so I
this
thought
is
I was
operated-
understanding
yeah.
that it was gonna be inside your garage.
No.
Okay,
This
I
is-
got it.
Oh, there's
This
two
is
things.
operated by the,
Yeah.
it's operated by the city of Boston.
Yep.
And, I think what Doug was saying is that during the winter season, the city comes and takes the bikes away.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
would actually be all year round.
Just so in addition to that, we provide bike storage for the residents.
Mm, okay.
And that's just part of the building.
Okay, I see Renee, you have your hand up. Anybody else?
Yes. I have a few questions. So how many total units is this building proposing, and how many of those total units are being allocated as affordable?
So yeah, there are 48 units and 13% of them are earmarked for affordable or 6 units. And then a financial contribution for the remainder percentage.
Okay, so I don't know if you're aware, but City of Boston just voted in favor of increasing IDP, right? Like the inclusionary development policy that will take effect in probably after the summer. That requires developers to contribute 20% of the total units as affordable housing. Is any possibility there that you can, do an effort to increase the 13% that you are proposing in this project?
Well, we're working with the BPDA. We have yet to get their comments back on. We're just working on the IDP component right now, and we would defer to them as to what they will require from us, as in terms of any other mitigation that we might provide.
So you're saying that we should talk to BPDA and lobby them to increase the inclusion?
Yeah, currently it's still 13%.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So that's what I'm asking. Is there any willingness from your team to, come close to, what the new IDP? Because to be honest, the need for affordable housing is tremendous in the city of Boston. Is something that this mayor Wu has been saying over and over, we need to find new ways to, like address that issue. So this is a huge project coming to the area. So, like having, like more units that are the all IDP is required will be great, right, for the resident. And now my other question is, from those, like 13% that you're proposing, what are the income brackets allocation? So
for
area median income, right?
yeah, well, I can't quote you. That's not my real expertise, but I do know rentals are 70% AMI. So depending on what the cost of the unit, I mean, we're really this is early development. So we've got, budgets. I don't have the cost of the units calculated at this time.
Hmm.
But it is in the affordable housing agreement, and Mitch, you can speak to this. My understanding, it's 70% AMI, or average median income, of the greater Boston area for the rental units, depending on what their out market rate would be.
Yeah.
So the other part of that question is, what will be the actual rent? So we're required on the affordable units, the so-called IDP units, to follow the whatever the federal HUD requirements are that's published by the BPDA. So currently they're working on the 2023 numbers. We expect that when the project is completed, it would take a year or 2 years. We'll probably be working on the 2025-26 numbers, and that will define what we charge based upon unit size, studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, so 3 bedroom. So it's not a guessing game. It's whatever the city requires at the time we occupy is what we'll actually present.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I know that the Boston area median income, it is a large area that include part of New Hampshire. So, like when we talk about a family of 4, we're talking about over 100,000 a year for a family of 4. That is unthinkable for, like families who live in Dorchester and Roxbury area, where, the area median income is around 35-40% of the Boston area median income. So that was my question, because usually developers decide what is the allocation for those units. So let's say, 3 units will be between 30% and 40% of area median income. I think is depend of, like the, what kind of, programs are included in those units. And my other question, are you open to receive Section 8 voucher in the affordable units?
Don't do rentals. I don't know how to answer that.
So I think again, the short answer is that we're in discussions with the city, typically on large project reviews where projects are over 50,000 gross square feet. The affordable agreements often do carry other conditions such as Section 8 preferences, and it comes through what the city calls the affordable fair housing. It's either an ordinance or regulations. And we're under the small project review. So again, it's a little bit of a different discussion, but we are in discussions with the BPDA currently.
Yeah, and my last question, do you know how many family units, like 3 bedroom, 2 bedroom, are allocated for affordable housing?
Yeah, we earmarked 1 3-bedroom as affordable, as well as several 2s. I can show them to you. They're on this slide here. So the areas in the rose color are earmarked. But I mean, that's our proposal, and the city can counter. We can rearrange them. It's perfectly fine and normal. So we tried to do a mix of 3, 2, and studios. And we actually have 3 3-bedrooms in the building now, which is nice.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
I know Bruce has his hand up, so I'll yield to him now. Bruce, unmute yourself. Okay. Well, maybe while Bruce unmutes, I have a question about the amenities, because I saw there was something labeled community, presumably, but I think is that the parking? Or are there other amenities for residents?
For the building residents,
Yeah.
we have a community room.
Okay. So-
I mean, there's a management office. Oh, I can't go any further. Hold on. There's not, oh, here you go. Yeah, so just an office, community space, and on the second floor, we have a building community room. So in addition to the, so a space people can rent out, use, within the building, as well as the roof deck, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask Bruce, are you still struggling with unmuting? All right, so anybody else have any questions? Was there any okay. I guess Bruce is not good. Oh, he's signed in with a different Bruce, do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Or type it in the chat.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So what is your next step in terms of community process? And you mentioned going to engaging with the BPDA at this point. So
we've had a series of outreach meetings. We attended the public meeting, which was sponsored by the BPDA earlier this year, and then we sponsored a meeting of the Uplands Corner neighborhood associations who attended, I think, early February or mid-February, sometime during that period. And we've, of course, been going through design review with the BPDA both before we filed and after we filed. So at this point, the BPDA is wrapping up any comments that may still be there, and we're hoping to be able to get a placement on the BPDA board shortly.
okay, great, thank you. Bruce, go
Yes,
ahead.
I had to switch devices. I had a technical problem.
Mhm.
One question and then actually two questions and then a comment. First question, you mentioned in lieu of some of the affordable units, you were making a financial payment. I know that can work. Can you share how that works and how much it would be?
So that's Bruce. When Doug Stefanov indicated there was a payment, when you have a partial unit that's below 0.5, in this case, I think we have 6.24 unit requirement at 13%. So that 0.24 is a mathematical payment that is required.
Okay,
Probably in the neighborhood of 40, 50, 60,000, something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. I didn't realize it worked that way. The second question, is 48 units. I'm very concerned about things that fit in the neighborhood and are affordable. You may or may, certainly you do know, you've been there for 50 years. There's a massive amount of development that's coming in Uplands Corner. The Fox building, the building that DSNI involved is the old bank building, and then the city of a library and housing across the street. And through all that planning process, we really, which has been for years, and really focused on trying to accommodate people that could afford to live here. And my comment is, this just seems awfully far along in the process before we're having a chance to talk about this. I mean, if it's going to the BPDA board to be approved, you know, it just concerns me that it kind of went by the minimum, and I'd love to know who the BPDA advertised their public meeting to, because I certainly I didn't hear about it, and I do follow these. Anyway, the design of it seems fine, but I think there's a substantial issue about process and also about affordability and how will this fit into the other buildings that are coming in Upton's Corner. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bruce.
So as you know, Bruce, if it were to be approved at the BPDA board, we still would then apply, we do have applied to the city, and the city then has us appeal the areas that we need to get relief for, and we engage in an additional community process. So we're far from being over.
Yeah, I understand that, but basically that appeals process goes, they tell you what variances you need and it goes to the zoning review board, right?
No, but we have to do community process. We have to meet back, we have to come back out with every.
Yeah, I understand that, but our experience, or at least my experience, has been once it's that position and goes to the zoning review board, they really don't seem to listen to or you know, focus on what anybody says.
Well,
And basically it's one of the issues in the city that is very difficult. I'm not trying to pick a fight with you. I'm just trying to say
no, I'm
that,
just saying, you know, if it gets strong community opposition, it's going to be a problem for us.
well, what I'd prefer to talk about is how to get strong community participation.
Yep.
And then in the plan, so then when you do go there, you can modify your plans and try to accommodate, and there can be some middle ground here. That's all I'm suggesting. And I think it's again, I mean, that's my concern. And
No, thank you.
I think there is middle ground there, and I just really encourage you to work with DSNI and everybody else to
Yeah, well,
encompass that and work together to see if there's some middle ground here. Thank you.
thank you. No, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bruce. So I have a couple more questions. So when all is like, if this were to be approved, would this be like the tallest residential building in Upham's?
Well, no, because you got the same buildings across the street,
Okay.
and the
Oh.
same building, it's the same size as the Monadnock building, kind of.
Mm.
Sort
Okay.
of. So no.
I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's a good question.
But I did also have a question about the commercial space, because maybe I missed it.
Sure, I'll go
Is
there.
you know, I think that and I'm an advocate for small businesses. That's my job as well. But I know that just like affordable housing is a need, affordable commercial is a need. Now, is your commercial space just a single one for the store to bring back the store, or are there?
Well,
No,
Mark can speak, yeah.
yeah. No, this space, you see a wide open space,
Mhm.
but it's divisible, right? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, whether
Yeah,
there
yeah,
would be space, and the affordability piece, right, too, right? Because you know, again, I don't know what you're planning to charge per square foot, but it could mean the difference between a local business or a chain.
As Mitch said, if this got approved today, right? Just use a number, right? The earliest we could start building would be the first quarter of 2025 to start the process, right? Because, you know, we have to put it out to bid and get construction, you know, we still have to go to construction plans after this. And then you're 2 possibly 3 years down before you're finished. So who knows what the market is at that point? You know, that you just don't know. So to put a number to it,
Hard,
can't tell
that's
you.
hard.
it's hard.
Great. Well, we hope to see you in the future once you know the process keeps moving.
Yeah,
And,
thanks for fitting us in last minute.
We
I can say that.
we do appreciate, you know, pushing us up.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's greatly appreciated.
I don't think that I see any more hands or people wanting to comment. So I guess we'll wrap this up. Thank
Let me stop sharing. Okay.
thank this
Okay.
team for their presentation. And I also just wanted to ask if there were any additional questions that may have sort of come into your mind that we may want to ask the first two presenters on the Bird Street parcel because we're going to move into the resident only space at this point, and we'll be asking that anybody with those two teams sort of dismiss
Renee?
themselves. Go for it.
Renee,
Bruce?
I think it might be useful if they haven't seen it to provide the developers for the Dudley Street project with links to what's going on with the Fox building plans and with the Citizens Bank plans. So just kind of see.
Yeah, I'd
Has
love
been
to.
worked through.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to see
they're
that.
on the I don't know what to
I
call
think
it
I've
now,
got- I think I
DRA,
have-
DPA.
You know, I
But
think I
anyway, I
have
think
the
you'll be
Fox.
very interested. I think you'll be very interested in seeing what they're doing, particularly the
Yes.
one that DSNI has been involved in on the Citizens Bank.
Yeah, I don't know that one, so I'm curious.
Yeah, the city project involving Cross the Street's just dragging, but that's going to be a new library and hopefully housing on top.
Hmm.
There's a lot going on. I think it would help inform and think through. It's also an interesting plan just to look at. So that's my
Okay.
suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Thank
I am interested.
Thank you, Bruce. Oh, I see Andrew has his hand up.
So I appreciate the comment that it's dragging. It is dragging, but there's going to be an update soon. You can find information on the city's website on the DSNI project, which the city did in partnership with DSNI. The selected developer was Dorchester Bay in partnership with Preservation of Affordable Housing. It is 100% affordable. And across the street, we are in the process of doing another 100% affordable home ownership project with a library on the ground floor. And you can see those two submissions that were selected. The one, that submitted, the one that was selected was a partnership of Civico and Dream Collaborative. And as I said before, that will have a library on the ground floor. And the architect for the library is Machado and Silvetti. That is slowly moving forward. And they were just recently selected. And Dream Collaborative is doing the housing, and the developer is Civico Development. And that will be homeownership, 100% affordable homeownership. And then Fox Hall has been back and forth, but you can find the latest approved proposal or approved project, and that is senior housing in a new building behind the historic building, and then it's broken up into phases now, and those are all 100% affordable. So it was as you heard, a strong priority from the get-go in our planning process. I'll just leave it at that. So
No, thank you. Thank you for the reference.
Andrew, by the way, I think, this has been a year's process, and I don't know if it's on your
been
job
8
description.
years.
Yeah, I don't know if
Since
it's on your job
2016.
description, but either patience with frustration and patience must be a great virtue. But I'm glad to hear what you just reported. That's very exciting. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you all for
Okay.
you all. Have a good
presenting
evening,
and,
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.